Welcome to Blackman Folktales. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also like and share. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, as this means the whole world to us. Lily's life was split in two the day her father never came home. He had been the steady anchor of her fragile world, the one who held her hand when storms raged around their small family. But when a tragic accident snatched him away, it left her 15-year-old heart bleeding in silence. Her mother, already frail with illness, grew weaker with each passing week, her coughs rattling through their one-room apartment like cruel reminders of the despair tightening its grip. Bills piled high, cupboards sat empty, and Lily's innocence slipped away every time she stepped out to beg for food or search for odd jobs that no one would give a child. She learned quickly that poverty was merciless. Neighbors who once offered smiles now shut their doors, whispering behind curtains that she was a burden. And when her mother finally lost the battle to sickness one bitter night, Lily found herself alone in the world, her grief drowned beneath hunger, loneliness, and fear. She wandered the streets in torn shoes, clutching her mother's scarf as though it could shield her from the cold truth. She was a child, but there was no one left to protect her. It was in this vulnerable state that Lily first crossed paths with Carla. Carla appeared like a vision, beautiful and commanding, with eyes that promised safety and lips that spoke only of kindness. To a broken, starving girl, Carla seemed like salvation. She approached Lily on a dimly lit street corner where the young girl sat shivering, her stomach empty, her tears staining the worn fabric of her sweater. "You don't have to live like this," Carla had said softly, offering her warm food and a comforting arm around her shoulders. To Lily, those words felt like a lifeline thrown to her in a storm. Carla's apartment was warm, filled with clothes and food Lily hadn't seen in weeks. She was treated kindly at first, given a bed and a blanket, and told she could start a new life. Carla spoke of opportunities, of quick money, of freedom from suffering, her voice dripping with charm and certainty. Exhausted, desperate, and too naive to sense the deception, Lily agreed to follow her guidance. She believed she had finally found someone who cared, never knowing she had walked straight into a carefully laid trap. The illusion of kindness didn't last long. Within days, Lily was introduced to a world where survival came at the cost of her body. Carla dressed her up, painted her lips red, and told her to smile. At first, Lily resisted, trembling as she was pushed into rooms with strangers whose eyes stripped her of the innocence she still clung to. The first night was the most brutal, the weight of hands that felt like chains, the suffocating perfume of cheap cologne, the sound of laughter that mocked her silent screams. When it was over, she curled on the bed, shaking, her soul cracked open by a wound deeper than any visible scar. Carla told her to toughen up, to see this as the only way forward, that soon she would feel nothing at all. And in time, Lily did learn to wear a mask, to bury the broken girl inside and play the role of the hardened young woman. But every night, when she closed her eyes, she saw herself at 15, the child who once dreamed of becoming a nurse, who once believed in tomorrow, now trapped in a nightmare disguised as survival. By the time Lily turned 18, she had learned to survive behind masks. Her face could smile on command, her laughter could sound convincing, and her body moved as if she had chosen this life. But behind closed doors, when the paint washed off and the silence pressed in, she was still that broken girl, hating her reflection, mourning a childhood she never got to live. Every night was the same: strangers' hands, false promises, and the gnawing emptiness afterward. She had stopped believing in kindness, until one night when her handler sent her to a high-class party in a downtown cafe known for its elegant shelves of books. The irony wasn't lost on her. Books once symbolized her dreams of becoming a nurse, a reminder of a life that seemed like it belonged to someone else. There she met Daniel. He didn't look at her the way others did. His gaze didn't strip her down, it searched for something. When he asked her name, she expected him to smirk at the fake one she used, but instead she whispered her real name, Lily. The sound of it startled her, as if she hadn't heard it in years. Their encounter should have ended like all the rest, but Daniel was different. He wasn't interested in transactions or masks. Instead, he asked about books, her dreams, and who she was before the world crushed her. Lily laughed bitterly, trying to brush him off, but Daniel only smiled gently. When he left, he didn't ask for her number or make demands. Instead, he placed a worn paperback novel on the table and whispered, "For you, no strings attached." That night, under the dim light of her tiny rented room, Lily opened the book. Tears blurred the words, not because the story was sad but because someone, after so long, had given her something without wanting to take from her. Every page brought back a part of herself she thought had died. For the first time in years, she dared to imagine she was more than the label stamped on her. The days that followed were different. Lily found herself drawn to that cafe, secretly hoping to see Daniel again. When she did, he greeted her like an old friend, not a commodity. Their conversations became longer, and slowly she let her guard down. She confessed fragments of her story, her parents, her hunger, the trap Carla had set. Each time she expected Daniel to recoil, to pity her or walk away. But instead, he looked at her with steady eyes and said softly, "Your past is not your prison." Those words sank into her soul like seeds in dry soil. For the first time she believed escape was possible. Still, fear gnawed at her. She had tried to run before and always ended up dragged back. But Daniel's quiet consistency, his refusal to treat her like anything less than human, gave her courage. It was a fragile flicker, but hope, once lost, had begun to burn again in Lily's heart. Stepping into the rehabilitation shelter was harder than Lily imagined. The building wasn't glamorous, it smelled of disinfectant and worn-out furniture, but it felt safe. Women with eyes like hers, haunted yet searching for light, welcomed her. For the first time she realized she wasn't alone in her scars. Healing wasn't easy, it was a war within herself. There were nights she woke up screaming from nightmares, mornings when shame made her want to return to the numbness of her old life. Yet, the counselors were patient, reminding her that scars were proof of survival, not signs of defeat. She learned to write her story in journals, pouring out the pain she never dared speak aloud. The act of naming her wounds gave her power over them. And in the quiet moments of reflection she began to forgive, not just the world but herself. Daniel visited often, but he never tried to save her. Instead, he encouraged her to save herself. He brought her more books, each one opening windows to new worlds, reminding her that she could write her own story. Slowly, Lily discovered passions buried under years of despair. She volunteered at the shelter, holding trembling hands of girls just entering the program, whispering, "I know how it feels. But it won't always be this way." She learned to cook, to paint, and to laugh without forcing it. Each day wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, days when memories returned like unwelcome ghosts, but every time she rose again. And with every step forward, the little girl who once felt lost on the streets began to re-emerge, stronger, braver, and wiser. By 22, Lily stood before a packed audience at a rehabilitation conference, her hands trembling but her voice steady. She told her story, not with shame but with courage. She spoke of the girl who lost everything at 15, who was trapped in chains of exploitation, but who found redemption when kindness lit her path. As she ended, her voice broke with emotion. "I was 15 when I lost myself, but redemption found me. And if it found me, it can find anyone." The audience rose in thunderous applause, not just for her words but for her resilience. Tears filled her eyes, but they weren't tears of pain, they were of freedom. That night, when she looked at her reflection, she didn't see the broken girl or the mask she once wore. She saw a woman, scarred but not defined by scars, alive with purpose, and shining with the truth that even in the darkest places, redemption can still bloom. Lily stood in front of the mirror, staring at the reflection that was almost unrecognizable compared to the girl she had once been. Gone were the smeared makeup, torn clothes, and hollow eyes that once mirrored pain and despair. In their place stood a Nigerian young beautiful lady with radiant confidence, her hair neatly tied, and her eyes glowing with a mix of humility and strength. She touched the delicate necklace hanging around her neck, a simple cross Daniel had given her, and her lips curled into a soft smile. The necklace wasn't just jewelry, it was a reminder of the night she found herself kneeling at the altar, sobbing out years of shame and fear, only to rise with a heart washed in hope. Redemption had not come quickly, it had been a process of tears, setbacks, and doubts. There were nights she still woke up sweating, haunted by the faces of men who had taken advantage of her as a teenager. But every time she faltered, Daniel's steady presence and her newfound faith lifted her back up. Slowly she discovered that her past was no longer a prison, but a testimony. She was no longer a victim, she was a survivor, and more than that, she was becoming a guide for others lost in the same darkness she had once walked through. The day she opened her foundation was the day she truly felt reborn. Standing before a small crowd of girls with stories like hers, abandoned, exploited, and forgotten, Lily felt tears sting her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. She told them that she, too, had been in the pit of hopelessness, but she had climbed out, and now she was reaching back to pull them up. Daniel, the Nigerian handsome man who had never left her side, stood proudly beside her, his eyes filled with admiration as he watched her transform pain into purpose. As the ribbon was cut and the shelter's doors opened, Lily realized that redemption wasn't just about her own healing, it was about giving others the chance to heal too. She listened to the laughter of the girls filling the once empty hall, and she felt a peace so profound it was almost overwhelming. For the first time in her life, Lily didn't see herself as broken or unworthy. She saw herself as chosen, loved, and empowered to make a difference. The girl who had been forced into prostitution at 15 had risen into a woman who carried light into the lives of others. And in that moment, Lily knew her story wasn't ending, it was only just beginning. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as this means a lot to us.